What's up, guys? It's Nate. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be giving you guys a two-part story time about how my DL and not misogynistic and not homophobic, but just had a dislike towards femboys and stuff. Ex-boyfriend who 3 months after I broke up with him, he DM'd me from another Discord account pretending to be his older brother so that I can date the older brother. Whole time it was him the whole time. So yeah, if you want to continue hearing about this messy ass story, just keep watching.
It's time.
So basically, some background on what happened. Well, not happened, but how he found me is I was in this one Discord server, and I posted my mouth, one word real quick, and he and somebody said, I'll be putting screenshots and stuff up here so you can read along with me. Like, this is my confessions and stuff. But someone said, bro is the next Victoria's Secret runway model, which, thank you. We'll raise your Honor Lima. Thank you. But anyways, he said, oh, no. And after he said that, I was like, oh, weird, whatever, straight for being, homophobic or whatever. Oh, well. Anyways, but then I got a DM request from him. And I was like, oh, okay, so he's just gonna be weird or whatever. But obviously that's not gonna happen. But anyways, on January 3rd, 2025, he first DM'd me saying, obviously, like, I don't know if I can say this one on YouTube, so I'm gonna just replace it with Clanka. And I know it's from Star Wars, so don't you play that. But he says, Clanka, is you gay? And I said, yeah, why? That's kind of a weird question to start off with, because, yeah, kind of weird. He said, my fault. I said, why, what? He said, fuck. And I said, well, why did you ask? And he said, don't worry, you single? And I said, yeah, why? And he said, just ask me, do you play any sports? I said, no. I said, damn. I said, I don't really like sports. He said, alright, how tall you is? I said, around, I think like 5'10". And actually, I'm 5'9". I know it's 1 inch, but girl, it's okay because it's like, Beyonce's talking about me in retirement, so I don't really care. But anyways, he said, damn, you tall as fuck. And I said, yeah, which I was shorter, which I do. But he said, what's your type of guys? I said, I don't really have a type. Like, I like anybody as long as I find you attractive and then I like you. And pretty much, yeah. And he said, period. Oh, I know you'll find me attractive. Which, first of all, coming from a straight man or something, or a homophobic guy, why are you saying that? I mean, like, or like, you're posing as a straight guy, whatever. Like, why are you asking that? But anyways, I said, well, let's see. And then he dodged the question, and he said, how old you was? I said, I'm 14, you, which I was 14 at the time, not anymore, but I was. And he said, I'm 15, where are you from? I said, America, which obviously, well, not obviously, but anyways, I said, oh, I'm about to be 15 in March, which, yeah. And he said, nice. And then I said, well, what you look like, because, bitch, don't be ducking, like, don't duck, bitch, like, no. Because I asked you already. He said, want to pick? He said, sure, which obviously, the fuck, I want you to describe yourself to me. But anyways, he said, alright. He sent me a photo. So obviously I'm not going to show it. I'm not going to do that. So, but anyways, he said, I said, you kind of look like a bottom, which no shit, he kind of did a little bit, but now I'm thinking about it, he just looks young. And, well, kind of was. But anyways, he said, well, damn, I'm not done. I said, it's not a bad thing. You look good, but just like I'm a bottom. And yeah, I am. Anyways, he said, I know you do. He said, no, I do. Thank you. Do you play any games? And I said, yeah, I like to play FNAF, Mario, GTA, Minecraft, Roblox. There's more, I can't think of more, and that's true. Some more has been added onto that list, but whatever. He said, oh, actually, wait, no, this was at 18 p.m. We've been talking throughout the day, whatever. But at 10:32 p.m., he randomly asked, oh, can it clap? Question mark. And I said, yeah, not a lie. And he said dead ass, and I said, yeah, I'm dead ass. And he said, proof? You know what I'm talking about, right? Like, you asked clap. I said, yeah. He said, damn, can I see? Can I have proof? I said, sure. And did I send the proof? Yes, I did. Do I regret sending him the proof? Yes, I do. But anyways, he said, whoa, you wasn't lying. God damn, that ass fat. It is. But anyways, I said, yeah, I wasn't. He said, what are you doing right now? I said, nothing. I'm just on my computer. What about you? Oh, I said, do you want any more vids? Which, girl, why? Like, why? Anyways, girl, he said, damn, how the fuck I move like that? I said, I don't know, but I'm not complaining. And yeah, I don't know, but a bitch can't complain, bitch. Anyways, I said, is that a bad thing? He said, no. So I got hard. I said, good. he said, period. Anyway, I said, yeah. Oh, wait. Um, if I just say something, like, if it be like a huge time skip, like, right here's, January 14th, 2025, and it went to January 14th. I don't think it's not that much. I said 14th. I said 14th. I'm at the 4th. But anyways, if something just doesn't really make the most sense, it's mostly just because I just took some out. But anyways, I don't remember what I said yes it is too. Like I said, I just cut some stuff out because it was just like random stuff we was talking about. It's not important. But I said, honestly, I would love to be your boyfriend. He said, I know you would. Which, first of all, like, I mean, like, you could have just said, like, thank you or something. Like, the cockiness was just, like, really, like... And anyways, he said, I said, what you want to? And he said, not now, I'll think about it. And I said, okay, well, what else you want to talk about? He said, I don't know, you even had a boyfriend before? And I said, no. Oh, damn. I said, yeah, you were my first, which, yes, he was my first. Not my first relationship, but he was my first. Because I did have a relationship in first grade with this one girl, but it doesn't count for real. But anyways, he's, a couple days later, he was like, by the way, are we dating? And I don't think I think it wasn't randomly, I don't remember, but he said, by the way, are we dating? I said, and I said, shit, I hope. And yeah, I didn't hope he was, but anyways, I said, so I guess we're official. He said, sure. And I said, well, I'm playing right now, you're my first boyfriend. And he said, and you're my third. And I said, oh, I love a man with experience. And then, I don't remember what else happened, but a couple of days later, as I just said, I'm looking at some makeup I might want to buy. He said, bro, are you trans? I said, no, I just like girly things. He said, so you like, I feel like a girl looks like one? And kinda, but anyways, he said, oh, I said, like, I guess you could say I'm a fanboy. He replied to that, but I guess I forgot to screenshot when I said that, but whatever. He said, why though? Just, I like the man you are. And I said, I don't know, it just feels like me. And yeah, that just feels like me. But anyways, a couple days after that, he said, can you try to be manly for a second? It was really random, too. He just said, can you try to be manly for a second? And I said, sure, I'll try. Why? And he said, cause you're a man. And I said, I thought you wanted me to do it for an act. Cause yeah, I did think so. Because one time, a couple days before that, I asked him like, what are you doing? That's a good boyfriend would. Just shut up my man. And he said he was beefing with somebody. So I thought he was wanting me to be manly for a second to beef with somebody or something, just like to help him or whatever. And he said, nah, I like your gender, that God made you. And then I said, sorry, but I prefer just really feminine. I feel the most confident that way. And yeah, I'm most confident. Like, I don't really like being masculine. I like being feminine. I like wigs, makeup, nails, dresses. Well, not dresses, but heels, stuff like that. But anyways, he said, how the fuck did you start wearing girl stuff? I said, I don't know. I've always kind of been like this. I won't say I've always kind of been like this, but I've always wanted to be like this. Like, I've always wanted to wear girly stuff when I was a little kid, but my mom wouldn't let me. But she still don't know. I'm in my grandma's house right now, and like I'm a big and stuff. So yeah, I'm still kind of getting like my grandma is more cool with it than my mom. Like that's a little crazy. Like why, why is the older generation more okay with it than the younger generation? But whatever. Anyways, he said okay, and I said I don't know if I can continue with this if you keep pressing me about being femme. Like, I want a man who can accept me for who I am and not try to get me to be something that I'm not. And looking, I can't afford that. I think we talk a little one, no shade. I think we talk a little one. Anyways, he said, what you make me for your own? Clank, are you a man? I'm trying to make you something that you're not, because no man finna fuck with you. And, well, first of all, bitch, if you knew anything about me, that's not true. Trust, bitch. I mean, first of all, you got with me no nonsense. So you kind of played yourself a little bit because like you got with me. So anyway, I said like you can't accept the fact that I'm feminine. Because I replied to me and said, "What you mean accept you for who you are?" I said like you can't accept the fact that I'm feminine. And then he said, "Why are you feminine?" Which first of all, spelled it wrong. But anyways, he said, "Why are you feminine?" And I didn't reply to that yet, but I replied to when he said, "I'm trying to do something that you're not. I'm trying to make you something that you're not because no man can fuck with you." And I said, no shit, but it's kind of was weird as fuck. And it was. That was like low-key really weird. But anyways, he said, why can't you make the fact that you're a guy? And then I replied to him, he said, why are you feminine? And I said, because I am. I just like dressing like that. And yeah. But anyways, he said, why? I replied to when he said, why can't you just that you're a guy? I said, I know I'm a man. I just am a feminine one. And yeah, I know I'm a man. I'm not trans. Like, no shade to trans people. I love y'all down, but I'm not a person part of that community. But anyways, he said, why can't you just be a guy? Like, not fucking feminine. And I said, I am a guy, just not a masculine. Yeah. Anyways, he said, I said, what's that supposed to mean? He said, no, don't worry. And I said, no, I am worried because I was shady as fuck. Because, yeah, why are you applying to? He said, that was the little shady. He said, oh, well, like I said, don't worry. I said, no, I want to fucking know. And so he said, Clinker, I ain't telling you shit. And I said, why? And he said, because I don't want to. I said, it was about me, so I want to know. And he's like, who said it was about you? I said, because I know it was shady as fuck. He said, so? And I replied to what he said, who said it was about you? He said, you replied to me by saying, the fuck? And I said, if it wasn't about me, then why don't you say it to me? Because yeah, why would you say, randomly to somebody? Like, the fuck? Anyways, he said, I can't say, the fuck? And then I said, you know what, whatever, we're over. And he was like, Clinker, we were never a thing. And he said, you know when you asked me if I'm ugly? I said, no, because I didn't want you to feel bad, but you're ugly as hell. Not to me, good night. And I replied to him whenever he said, we were never a thing. And I said, with a screenshot of whenever he said, we're together. Like, listen, one thing about me, I do not play with my facts. I get my facts right. I do not play. But, anyways, yeah, so first of all, you should guess, I did ask him if I was ugly. And that was when I was 14. 14 me, 15-year-old me, I wasn't the most self-confident. But I've been just most 14-year-olds, honestly. But anyways, yeah, but I was like, so now I'm ugly now that I broke up with you. But before I was T, I was cute and I was attractive. So it was like, oh, you mad that I broke up with you? And I said, then what is this? And he said, if I really wanted you, I want to say sure. And then I said, so you're saying that you did want me? And honestly, I did kind of read what he said wrong, so I'll take that. Because I did read that wrong. So I'll take my little L, and that's okay. But anyways, he said that. I said, why would you date me if you thought I was ugly? And why would you say sure if you didn't want me? Because, yeah, why would you say that? But he said, I was playing truth or dare. And to date you was my dare. And then he replied to me when I said, why would you say sure if you didn't want me? And he said, if I did want you, I would have said yes, but yeah, I'm not sure. Good night. And I said, Clinker, don't talk to me, fuck you. And then he said, okay, why you mad? Cause I don't like you, the fuck, good night. And then the next morning actually, he said, good morning, broski, he's still mad. And then the same day at 5:35 p.m., he said, I think broski's still mad. Then the next day at 8 p.m., he said, I forgot to say good morning. And then the next day after that, at 10 p.m., he said, good night, stop ghosting me, broski. And then February 1st, he said, what's good? And then February 2nd, what's good, OG? And then February 7th, still single, Lamau. So, basically what I'm getting is you still thinking about me.
My pussy good, pussy sweet, pussy good.
Over a week after I broke up with you, like 3 weeks after I broke up with you, you still thinking about me. You still think about me. You still tell me good morning after I broke up with you a while ago, and you still tell me good morning. That's how you know you queen. He still tell you good morning after you broke up with him a long time ago. But yeah, that's the end of this first part. No shade, because this is probably gonna be a lot to edit. So yeah, that's the end of this first part. But if you want to continue hearing about the story time, just tune in like next week, because I know my upload schedule is twice a month or every other week, but I'll be nice and give us to y'all next week, because I love y'all. So yeah, but anyways, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that yada 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 yada. And yeah, so enjoy your night, because it is currently like 9 p.m. right now. So
you know I love you, boo.